The massive alien ships descended from the sky like dark clouds, casting shadows over the bustling streets of Seoul. Dr. Kim Tae-ho was working late in his laboratory when the ground began to shake. Coffee cups rattled on his desk as he looked up from his computer screen. "What was that?" he muttered, walking to the window. Outside, people were pointing at the sky, their faces filled with wonder and terror. Dr. Lee Min-ho burst through the laboratory door, his eyes wide with excitement. "Tae-ho, you have to see this. The radio telescopes are going crazy." The two scientists rushed to the main control room where Dr. Park Ji-woo was already gathering the research team. The massive screen showed wave patterns unlike anything they had ever seen before. "These signals are not natural," Dr. Park said, her voice trembling. "They're mathematical, complex, and definitely artificial." Dr. Choi Soo-jin, the team's expert on life forms, stared at the data. "This means we're not alone in the universe," she whispered. 3 days passed in a blur of excitement and fear. Scientists around the world worked together, trying to understand the alien signals. Then, without warning, the ships appeared. General Kim Dong-woo stood at the window of the military command center, watching as enormous vessels blocked out the sun. The ships were beautiful but frightening, with smooth curves that seemed to flow, like water mixed with crystal structures that sparkled in the light. "Sir," Colonel Park Jun-ho called out, "they're sending us a message on all radio frequencies. Our computers are translating it somehow." The message was simple but terrifying. "Greetings, people of the third planet. You've been chosen to join the Galactic Council's protection program. You cannot resist. You must obey." President Lee Soo-young joined an emergency meeting with world leaders. The alien visitors had made their demands clear through follow-up messages. Humanity would become a power source for something they called the Great Shield. Human life energy would be used to protect the more important species of the galaxy. "They think we're animals," General Kim said angrily. "They want to use us like batteries to power their machines." Dr. Kim Tae-ho examined pieces of alien technology that had been recovered from the first contact sites. "Their science is more advanced than ours, but I think we can understand it. If we can learn how their machines work, ... Then we fight," Colonel Park declared. "Humans have never given up to bullies before. We won't start now." The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans would be easy to control because Earth's technology seemed simple compared to theirs. They expected people to line up quietly and accept their fate. Instead, something amazing happened. Countries that had been enemies for generations suddenly became allies. The United States worked with Russia. China cooperated with India. Wars were forgotten as humanity faced a common threat. In the subway tunnels beneath Seoul, Lieutenant Kim Yoon-soo and Sergeant Lee Hana organized the first resistance group. They had only basic weapons and a few stolen alien devices, but they had something the aliens didn't expect: the refusal to surrender. "We may not have their fancy spaceships," Kim Yoon-soo told his team, "but we know how to fight for our homes." The aliens began setting up camps around the world, places they called integration centers. These were really prisons where humans would be kept while their life energy was drained away. But as the alien soldiers tried to force people into these camps, they met unexpected resistance. Humans used tactics that aliens had never seen before. They hid in buildings and struck without warning. They used the aliens' own technology against them. They fought dirty, using tricks and traps that confused the invaders. Dr. Kim Tae-ho's team worked day and night to understand alien technology. They discovered that the visitors' weapons were powerful, but wasteful. Their machines were advanced, but followed predictable patterns. They're used to easy victories, Dr. Park realized. They've never fought an enemy that refuses to give up. War began in small ways. A few humans would attack an alien patrol, steal their equipment, and disappear. Others would sabotage alien machinery or rescue prisoners from the integration centers. Each small victory taught humans more about their enemy. The aliens grew frustrated. What should have been a simple task was becoming a difficult war. Sent more soldiers, but humans adapted faster than expected. Every alien weapon that was captured was studied, copied, and improved in space stations far from Earth. Alien leaders held urgent meetings. They'd expected to conquer humanity in a few days. Instead, months passed, and the humans continued to resist. "How is this possible?" asked one alien commander. "They're a primitive species with basic technology." "They learn from every battle," another replied. "Every mistake we make teaches them something new." The aliens had come to Earth looking for slaves to power their great shield. Instead, they found a species that would rather die fighting than live in chains. They had awakened something dangerous in humanity, the will to survive at any cost. What the aliens didn't know was that their invasion had changed humanity forever. Now, the scattered, divided people of Earth were becoming something new. They were learning to fight as one species, united by a common enemy and a shared determination to remain free. The war had only just begun. 6 months had passed since the aliens first arrived, and the galaxy was learning a hard lesson about humanity. Captain Park Jae-sung crouched behind a broken wall in what used to be downtown Tokyo. The city was in ruins, but humans had learned to use the destruction to their advantage. "Keep working on that device," he whispered to his team. Around him, engineers worked quietly on a stolen alien communication box. The aliens had thought their technology was too advanced for humans to understand. They were wrong. Dr. Oh Min-young looked up from her work, her eyes bright with excitement. "I've got it," she said softly. "Their code system is complex, but it follows patterns. We can listen to their messages now." This scene was happening all over the world. In hidden bases, under mountains, in abandoned buildings, in secret tunnels. Beneath cities, humans were taking apart alien technology piece by piece. They were learning how it worked, then making it better. Deep under the Himalayan mountains, Dr. Kim Tae-ho worked in a laboratory that had been carved out of solid rock. His team had been studying alien weapons for months, and they had made an important discovery. "Look at this," he said to a group of military officers. He pointed to a diagram on the wall. "Their energy weapons are very powerful, but they waste a lot of energy. They use force instead of being smart about it. We can use this against them." That officers nodded. They had learned to trust the scientists. In the old world, military leaders and researchers didn't always work together well, but the alien invasion had changed everything. Now everyone had the same goal: survival. General Kim Dong-woo stood in the main command center, reading reports from around the world. The news was better than he had hoped. Humanity was not just surviving, they were winning small battles every day. "Give me the status report," he said to his staff. Colonel Park Jun-ho stepped forward with a tablet in his hands. "The Seoul area is secure, sir. Major Kim and Ho's team destroyed 3 alien supply trucks this week. Lieutenant Lee Yujin's spy network has found 17 alien bases in our country." The general smiled. 6 months ago, he would never have believed such news was possible. Aliens had superior technology and powerful weapons, but they had one weakness. They didn't understand how humans fought. The aliens expected humans to line up in neat rows and shoot at each other like in old movies. Instead, humans hid in shadows, struck without warning, and disappeared before the aliens could fight back. They used tricks, traps, and tactics that confused their enemies. In an underground bunker, Captain Lee Soo-min prepared her team for their most dangerous mission yet. They were going to sneak onto an alien spaceship and steal their computer files. Remember, she told her soldiers? "The aliens think we're simple creatures who can't learn. We're going to show them how wrong they are." Sergeant Kim Ho-jin, who was an expert with explosives, grinned at his teammates. "Their force fields can stop energy weapons, but they can't stop good old-fashioned bombs." The mission was extremely dangerous. The alien ship was heavily guarded, and if they were caught, there would be no escape. But the information they could steal would help the resistance all over the world. Meanwhile, Dr. Park Ji-yu's research team had made another breakthrough. They had figured out how the aliens sent messages faster than light across the galaxy. "This is incredible," she announced to her team. "We can not only listen to their messages, we can send fake ones too." This discovery was huge. It meant humans could trick the aliens into going to the wrong places, make them think attacks were coming from different directions. The aliens' own communication system would become a weapon against them. As the first year of war ended and the second year began, something strange was happening in the alien command centers. The invasion that was supposed to be simple was becoming a nightmare. High Counselor Zephron, one of the alien leaders, read the casualty reports with growing fear. "This is impossible," he said. "There are primitive species. They don't even have spaceships." Ambassador Veltar, who had been confident about conquering Earth, now looked worried. "They learn from every battle. Every piece of our technology they capture makes them stronger. Every trick we use, they find a way to counter." The aliens were discovering that humans had a special talent. They never gave up, and they learned incredibly fast. Every mistake the aliens made taught humanity something new. Every battle made humans better fighters. On Earth, the war was changing humanity itself. Before the invasion, humans fought each other over borders, resources, and beliefs. Now they worked together like never before. The shared threat had made them into something new. Scientists who had never held weapons became military advisors. Soldiers learned to use alien technology. Children studied both math and combat tactics. Artists created propaganda that inspired fighters around the world. The aliens had expected to find a divided, weak species that would surrender quickly. Instead, they found a species that treated war like a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be mastered. Humans were becoming experts at fighting, and they were getting better every day. The galaxy was learning that humanity was not just another species to be conquered. There was something much more dangerous, a species that refused to lose. 3 years had passed since the aliens first came to Earth, and humanity had become something terrifying. Deep beneath the ocean, in the deepest part of the Mariana Trench, Admiral Kim Taman stood in a massive underground factory that had been carved out of the seafloor itself. The factory was filled with the sounds of construction. Workers moved around an enormous ship that was unlike anything Earth had ever built before. It was sleek and dangerous looking, with smooth curves mixed with sharp angles that seemed to cut through the air, even while standing still. "How are we doing?" Admiral Kim asked his chief engineer. Lee Jun-ho wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled. "The fusion reactors are working perfectly, sir. The weapon systems are ready to fire. We can launch whenever you give the order." The ship was called the Defiance, and it represented everything humanity had learned in 3 years of war. It was built with stolen alien technology, but human engineers had made it better. It was fast, deadly, and designed for one purpose: to take the fight to the aliens in space. Captain Park Soo-young walked onto the bridge of the Defiance. She was the first human who would command a starship, and she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Around her, the crew prepared for humanity's first attack beyond Earth's atmosphere. "Target report," she ordered. Major Kim Yoon-ho, her tactical officer, studied the displays in front of him. "We found an alien supply station, Captain. It's not heavily defended. They don't think we can reach them in space."
Captain Park smiled
grimly. "They're about to learn they're wrong. All crew, prepare for launch." The Defiance rose from the ocean depths like a creature from mythology. It broke through the surface of the water and shot into the sky, leaving Earth's atmosphere in minutes. The aliens had been watching Earth's surface for 3 years, but they had never expected humans to build spaceships. The attack was quick and brutal. The Defiance appeared near the alien supply station without warning, fired its weapons, and destroyed the facility completely. Before the aliens could respond, the human ship had vanished into the darkness of space. Back on Earth, the Resistance had grown into something that looked like a real army. General Kim Dong-woo commanded bases hidden all over the planet. Each base had factories that built weapons and equipment designed by humans but powered by alien technology. In his underground command center, the general received reports from around the world. The news was good. Human forces were winning more battles than they were losing. The aliens were starting to retreat from some areas. Sir Colonel Park Jun-ho reported, "Our forces in North America have captured another alien base." Major Kim and Ho's team in Europe has destroyed 3 more supply convoys. The aliens are having trouble getting supplies to their soldiers. The general nodded with satisfaction. 3 years ago, humanity had been helpless against the alien invasion. Now they were pushing the invaders back. Dr. Kim Tae-ho worked in his laboratory, surrounded by alien devices that his team had captured and improved. The aliens had advanced technology, but they had made it the same way for thousands of years. Humans looked at it with fresh eyes and found ways to make it better. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, Dr. Ominu. He held up a weapon that looked like an alien energy rifle, but with human modifications. "We've increased the power by 30% and reduced the energy consumption by half. Human engineering is more efficient than theirs." This was happening all over Earth. Human scientists were not just copying alien technology, they were improving it. Weapons became more powerful, vehicles became faster, and communication devices became more reliable. The aliens had expected to find a primitive species that would be easy to control. Instead, they found a species that learned faster than anyone had thought possible. Every piece of alien technology that humans captured made them stronger. Dr. Park Ji-woo's team had achieved something remarkable. They had learned to build their own faster-than-light communication system, but theirs was better than the alien version. It was faster, more secure, and used less energy. "We can now coordinate attacks across the entire planet instantly," she reported to the military commanders. "Our response time is faster than theirs." Lieutenant Lee Eugene led a special forces team that had become legendary among the resistance. They had learned to fight like the aliens had never seen before. They used alien weapons, alien vehicles, and alien tactics, but they combined them in ways that confused and frightened their enemies. "The aliens follow rules," she explained to new recruits. "They do things the same way every time. We don't follow rules. We do whatever works." The war was changing humanity in ways no one had expected. Children born during the occupation learned to fight alongside learning to read. Scientists worked only on military projects. Artists created propaganda that inspired fighters around the world. But the most important change was in how humans thought about war itself. Before the invasion, war was something terrible that happened when diplomacy failed. Now war was a tool, a skill to be mastered, an art form to be perfected. The aliens had come to Earth to harvest a weak species. Instead, they had created something they had never encountered before, a species that was not only willing to fight, but had become very, very good at it. Humanity was no longer just defending Earth. They were ready to take the fight to the stars. The warning came from space like a whisper of death. Deep in his command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Kim Taemin read the intercepted alien message with growing alarm. The Devourers were coming, and they would reach the galaxy's core worlds in just a few weeks. 4 years of war had changed everything. Earth's surface was scarred with battle damage, but humanity had never been stronger. Hidden shipyards had built dozens of warships, each one a deadly combination of human cleverness and stolen alien technology. "What's the status of their great shield?" Admiral Kim asked his intelligence officer. Colonel Park Min-ho looked at his reports with grim satisfaction. "It's not finished, sir. We've been fighting them so hard that they had to use their shield materials to build weapons instead. Their protection has big holes in it." Dr. Kim Tae-ho, now the head of all human weapons research, studied the data about the approaching enemy. His face was pale as he read the reports. The Devourers are completely different from the Council aliens. They don't just attack planets, they eat them. They consume matter, energy, even space itself. This was the threat that had made the Council so desperate. The Devourers were ancient creatures from between the galaxies, older than memory and hungrier than nightmares. They had been coming for years, slowly crossing the empty space between galaxies, devouring everything in their path. Captain Park Soo-young stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at the fleet of human warships that surrounded her. She now commanded an entire squadron of vessels, each one crewed by humans who had learned to fight in the hardest school possible. "We've spent 4 years learning to fight the Council," she told her officers. "Now we're going to face the monsters that scared the Council so much they tried to enslave us." The first sign of the Devourers came when the outer edge of Council space went dark. Stars simply vanished, consumed by creatures that ate light itself. Planets disappeared without a trace. Entire solar systems were swallowed whole. Then the desperate message arrived on all frequencies, broadcast to every planet in the galaxy. was Ambassador Veltar, the same alien who had demanded humanity's surrender 4 years ago. But now his voice was shaking with fear.
People of Earth, the transmission began. We need your help.
The Devourers have broken through our defenses. Our shield is not strong enough. We are willing to discuss terms. The irony was almost too much to bear. Aliens who had come to Earth as conquerors were now begging for help from the species they had tried to enslave in the Seoul Command Center. General Kim Dong-woo gathered his top officers. The room was silent as they all considered the situation. The aliens were asking for help, but they were the same aliens who had tried to use humans as living batteries. "What are your orders, sir?" asked Colonel Park Jun-ho. General Kim was quiet. For a long moment, called together the War Council. "We need to decide if we save the galaxy or let it die." The debate that followed was fierce. Some of the human leaders wanted revenge. "Let them face the Devourers alone," said General Lee Suman. "They tried to destroy us. Why should we help them?" Others, led by Dr. Park Ji-woo, argued for helping. "If the Devourers consume the galaxy, they'll eventually come for Earth too. We have to fight them somewhere." Admiral Kim Taman made the final decision. We fight. Not for the Council, but for ourselves. If we let the Devourers win, humanity will be next. But humanity's help would come with a price. The terms were simple and non-negotiable. Complete access to all Council technology, full independence for human forces, and when the war was over, humanity would have a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. The aliens agreed immediately. They had no choice. Dr. Kim Tae-ho worked frantically to understand the new enemy. The Devourers were unlike anything in the galaxy. They were not machines or living creatures in any normal sense. They were something else entirely. Entities that existed by consuming reality itself. "Conventional weapons won't work," he reported to the military leaders. "Energy weapons just feed them. Physical projectiles pass right through them. We need something completely different." Captain Lee Yujin, now commanding her own ship, studied the reports from the first encounters between Council forces and the Devourers. The results were terrifying. Entire fleets had been consumed in minutes. Planets had been drained of all matter and energy, leaving nothing but empty space. "How do you fight something that eats everything?" she asked her crew. The answer came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Kim Ho-jin, the demolitions expert, had an idea. "What if we don't try to destroy them? What if we make them destroy themselves?" Was a desperate plan, but it might work. The Devourers consumed everything they touched, but what if they could be tricked into consuming something that would poison them? As the human fleet prepared to leave Earth for the first time, Admiral Kim addressed his forces. 4 years ago, they came to make us slaves. Today, we go to save them all. But remember, we're not fighting for the Council. We're fighting for the right to exist. The transformation was complete. Humanity had become the galaxy's sword, forged in the fire of war and tempered by years of struggle. The species that had once been marked for slavery was now the galaxy's last hope, the battle of Centauri Prime began at dawn on a world that was dying. Admiral Kim Tae-man stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's most powerful warship, as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace. What he saw made his blood run cold. The Devourers had surrounded the Council's homeworld like a swarm of hungry insects. They were massive, dark shapes that seemed to bend light around them. As he watched, pieces of the planet itself were being torn away and consumed by the creatures. "Give me a report," Admiral Kim ordered. Captain Park Soo-young, who now served, as his tactical officers studied the scanner displays, 17 large Devourer ships, hundreds of smaller ones. They're eating the planet to make more of themselves. The Council fleet floated at a safe distance, their weapons firing uselessly at the enemy. Every energy beam they shot was simply absorbed by the Devourers, making them stronger. Every missile they launched was consumed before it could explode. Dr. Kim Tae-ho, now the fleet's science officer, watched the battle with grim understanding. This is why they needed us. They built their technology to hide behind shields and fight at long range. They don't know how to fight monsters like this. Admiral Kim opened communications to all human ships. All vessels, Execute Protocol Omega. Show them what 4 years of war has taught us. What happened next would be remembered as the moment. The galaxy truly understood what humanity had become. The human ships didn't hang back like the Council forces. They dove straight into the swarm of devourers, using tactics that made the watching aliens gasp in horror. Where the Council tried to avoid casualties, humans embraced sacrifice. Where the Council used careful, precise attacks, humans used overwhelming force. Captain Lee Eugen's ship, the Vengeance, flew straight at a massive devourer, its weapons blazing. "This is Vengeance." Her voice came over the radio, calm and steady. "Beginning attack, run. If we don't make it out, continue the mission." Her ship slammed into the devourer's core, its experimental weapons tearing the creature apart from the inside. The explosion destroyed both the monster and the Vengeance. But the message was clear. Humans would sacrifice everything to win. This scene repeated across the battlefield. Human ships that were too damaged to continue fighting used their engines as bombs, ramming into devourers and exploding. Crews of crippled vessels manually overloaded their reactors, turning their ships into weapons. Lieutenant Commander Kim Ho-jin led a squadron of small fighters against a group of devourers. When his ship was hit and started to fall apart, he didn't retreat. Instead, he guided his burning fighter straight into the enemy formation. "For humanity," he said calmly into his radio. "For the future." The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Devourer fleet had been destroyed, but the cost had been terrible. Humanity had lost 60% of its ships, but every loss had been planned, calculated, and devastating to the enemy. The Council forces watched in stunned silence as the surviving human ships regrouped. They had just witnessed a style of warfare that was completely alien to them, a species that was willing to sacrifice everything for victory. High Counselor Zephrin's voice came over the communication. System filled with gratitude and fear. "Admiral Kim, your species has saved us all. We can never repay this debt." Admiral Kim's response was cold and hard. "We're not finished. This was just their advance force." The war against the Devourers continued for 2 more years. In every battle, humanity's willingness to sacrifice themselves proved to be the key to victory. They developed weapons that the Council would never have imagined, devices that could crack planets, bombs that could make stars explode, tactics that turned entire solar systems into weapons. The final battle took place at the edge of the galaxy, where the main Devourer force was preparing for their last attack. Captain Park Min-ho, now commanding the rebuilt Defiance, led the final assault. The human strategy was simple and terrible. They would lure the Devourers to a dead solar system and then make its star explode, destroying everything within light years. "All Council ships move to safe distance," Captain Park ordered. "Human fleet, prepare for star ignition." The Council forces retreated, but the human ships stayed behind to make sure the Devourers couldn't escape the trap. When the star went nova, it took the entire Devourer fleet with it, and every human ship in the system. The war was over. The galaxy was saved. But the price had been paid almost entirely in human blood. Admiral Kim Taemin, now the only surviving member of humanity's original command, addressed the Galactic Council from the bridge of Earth's last remaining warship. "You came to make us your power source," he said, his voice carrying the weight of 4 years of total war. "Instead, you turned us into your weapon. The galaxy is safe. But remember this, we are not your servants. We are your protectors. And we earned that position through blood and sacrifice." The Council had built a shield to protect themselves from the darkness between stars. But in their arrogance and desperation, it created something far more dangerous, a species that saw warfare not as a last resort, but as a skill to be mastered. Humanity had become the galaxy's sword, and no one would ever dare to threaten them again.